Hey, this is Brian with Square Foot Gardening for the Red River Valley, and it's planting time! Today we're going to talk about planting turnips. Turnips are a wonderful crop to plant. They're easy to grow, and they give you an abundance of a good harvest every year. And so we're going to talk about planting turnips. And so let's get started. This is 1 foot by 1 foot. It's roughly about 3.5 inches deep, and I have a nice mix of Mel's Mix. Again, Mel's Mix is a mixture, a soilless mixture of 1/3 vermiculite, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 peat moss. And so we've got this material already placed in our gardens. We have drain holes on the bottom so that we can maintain a good moisture level and not drown our plants. And we also have the ability to withhold some moisture to keep our some of the water available for the roots also. And so when we're planting turnips, let's talk about turnips. First of all, turnips can be grown for both the roots and the greens. So one of the things that we want to remember is that we want to have a plant that is healthy, that we've got good growth above the ground and good growth below the ground. And that's where Mel's Mix really comes in handy to help provide the plant with all the needed nutrients that it's going to need to become a healthy and vibrant plant. So turnips, the fancy name for turnips is Brassica Rapa. And again, it's a cousin to the rutabagas, and it's also a cousin to cabbages. But turnips and rutabagas can be planted in a very similar fashion. It's fast-growing, cool season crop. Hot weather sometimes tends to make the leaves tough. The roots can become woody and bitter in hot weather. And so we're going to plant our turnips for a spring planting about 3 weeks before the last frost. Remember that most brassicas are very frost tolerant and are able to withstand some of those things. So we want to make sure that our soil temperature, again, seeds will not germinate in a soil until the temperature has been reached to support germination. And our germination temperature for the soil for our seeds is going to be about 40 degrees. So much cooler than a lot of the other plants that we put into our garden. And germination will generally occur about 7 to 14 days. Now, fall crops, a lot of times when we plant fall crops, they're much sweeter than our spring crops, and we'll plant fall crops about 2 months before our first frost date. A nice shout out again to Renee's Gardens. Really good luck with their seeds. This is an heirloom turnip. It's called Purple Top Milan. And again, if you're looking for more information on Renee's seeds, we're going to take a look at our turnips. And our turnips, according to the square foot gardening method, we're going to plant 9 per square foot. And so we can mark it out. That would be a tic-tac-toe pattern. I like to, just for demonstration purposes, use a little mini grid that I use in my small gardens. So the first thing that we want to make sure that we have is our material, our soil is level. And then we're going to take out our handy dandy square foot gardening planting device, also known as a pencil. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to place a hole in the center of each of our squares. Again, we are only going to plant our seeds to a depth no more than twice its smallest dimension. And when we open up our turnips, as you can see, the seeds are very similar to a radish seed in size. And so they're very difficult to plant. And we don't want to waste seed. So what I like to use is my Square Foot Gardening Precision Planter. If you're interested in these, contact me immediately and I will mail one out to you. In fact, you can use the envelope I mail it to you to make your square foot gardening precision planter. And what I do, I just take a piece of paper, I fold it in half, fold up the corner, I get a little reservoir in the end to help hold my seeds together. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to put a few seeds in my precision planter. Okay, and then I go ahead and I fold up the back, fold up the sides, and again, if I take my precision planter along with my handy dandy square foot gardening planting pencil, I can distribute my seeds very evenly. And so we just go ahead and give it a tap, and you'll start to see that the seeds start to show up in the crease of the paper. And so at that point, I can just go ahead and deposit one seed in each of the holes. Remember, we're only plant our seeds to a depth no more than twice the smallest diameter. And these little seeds are not even a millimeter in diameter. And so they're very small, they're very tiny. We don't need to put a lot of soil on top of these. In fact, if we put too much soil on them, we bury them, those little seeds run out of nutrients to provide the germination effect to happen. So we want to be very careful not to bury our seeds too deep. Once we're done, we can put our seeds back in our packet. We try not to waste any if we can help it. And we can put that back in the refrigerator and use those again in another year, or at a later time to put a succession planting together. Go ahead and just gently cover each of the seed holes, just using the tip of my handy dandy square foot gardening planting pencil. And there we have it. We've got them planted. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we want to make sure that we give them a good drink of water to make sure that they start off a life healthy. And so I'm going to go ahead and use my square foot gardening precision water delivery device. And again, it's kind of neat. I've worked out a deal with Coca-Cola. They do provide a free water delivery device with each purchase of a 16-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola. And so we just go ahead and we'll water these in. We don't want to put too much water in right away because we may displace the seeds. We may cause them to come out of their hole. And so we want to make sure that we just give them enough moisture right now to embed them, get that germination process started. At this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place our small square inch garden out in the sunlight and let Mother Nature take over from there. There you go, planting turnips. Who'd have thought it'd be that easy? Turnips are a great way, both the greens and the roots themselves, and you can use them in your dishes, in your cookies. So as our plants start to grow, we're going to make sure that when our plants reach about 5 inches in depth and in height, we want to go ahead and mulch around the base of those plants about 2 inches deep. And what that's going to do, it's going to protect the bulb from the effects of being exposed to the sun, and it also is going to keep our color a little bit more vibrant underground also. So again, once our plants reach about that 5-inch height, go ahead and mulch around the base of those plants with about 2 inches of mulch. We're going to harvest our leaves when they're large enough to harvest, when they're big enough to pick. We want to, if we're going to continue to allow our turnips to grow so that we can use the roots also, we'll only take about 2 or 3 leaves per plant. That way we keep enough of the foliage available for good root development. Our roots, we'll harvest those when they reach about that 1 to 3 inch diameter size, and we go ahead and start taking those out as we need them to. If you're going to try to store these, we want to make sure that we loosen them first. Leave about 1/3 of the top on it, just twist the leaves off. Don't wash the dirt off from them, but put them in a nice cool damp root cellar, and they should keep for around 6 months or so. So there you have it, turnips. I love turnips. I hope you do too. Hey, thanks for watching Square Foot Gardening for the Red River Valley. This program is brought to you by Square Foot Gardening for the Red River Valley, located here in Moorhead, Minnesota. Make sure that you don't forget to subscribe and then also ring the bell so that you get notified each and every time that new material is being made available to you. And then again, don't forget to like and leave a comment for me. I'd love to hear from you. This program is brought to you by Square Foot Gardening for the Red River Valley. We're an awful proud partner with Square Foot Gardening Foundation. Check out my website at www.sfgrrv.com. And remember, proceeds for each of the sales benefits our wounded veterans through the Semper Fi Fund. Hoorah, Semper Fi Fund! And don't forget, keep those fingers dirty. This is Brian with Square Foot Gardening for the Red River Valley. Have a wonderful and happy gardening day. And don't forget to keep those fingers dirty.